Whoever is happy will make others happy. That's what Anne Frank thought, and I agree with her 100%. Hello, my name is Matt Gersper, but people call me Mr. Happy Living. And I'm here because I love happiness, and I love happy people from every walk of life all around this great, big, beautiful globe. I love people seeking to make our world a more peaceful, a more united, and a more happy planet, one person at a time. And that's why I love being here with you today, celebrating happiness. I'm here to help you reconnect with yourself and what makes you happy. Really, truly, deeply happy. The very first time I was introduced to the world of happy living was back in the summer of 2014 in an interview for our Something Significant series. My daughter Kayleen was interviewing me. It was my very first public words as Mr. Happy Living. In that interview, I shared a story from ancient Greek history as I was answering the question, what's one thing you wish you had known 10 years ago? So 7 years later, I'm happy to share the very same story with you right now as a way of introducing and explaining a cool little innovation we've developed called the Happy Index. So here's the story. While marching through India, Alexander encountered some naked wise men sitting in meditation in the sun on the banks of the Indus River. Alexander's party was trying to get through the busy street, but the yogis had their spot and they wouldn't move. One of Alexander's zealous young lieutenants took it upon himself to chase the holy men out of the king's path. When one of the wise men resisted, the officer started yelling at him. Just then, Alexander came up. The lieutenant pointed at Alexander and he shouted to the yogi, "This man has conquered the world. What have you accomplished?" The yogi looked up calmly and replied, "I have conquered the need to conquer the world." Alexander is Alexander the Great king of the ancient Greek kingdom of Macedonia. Born in 356 BC, Alexander succeeded his father Philip to the throne at the age of 20. He spent most of his ruling years in an unprecedented military campaign through Asia and Northeast Africa, and by the age of 30, he had created one of the largest empires in the ancient world, stretching from Greece to Egypt into northwest India. He was undefeated in battle and is considered one of history's most successful military commanders. Alexander and his massive army were conquering the world with overwhelming military force and cunning. What he encountered that day in India was the incredible power of a highly developed consciousness within the naked yogi. In his book, Power versus Force, author David Hawkins explains how leaders operating from lower levels of consciousness use force, instill negative emotions such as anger and fear and apathy among their followers, and ultimately drive the world into chaos and tyranny and despair. But leaders operating from higher levels of consciousness wield a quiet power and instill positive emotions such as peace and joy and love among their followers, and ultimately lead the world into happiness and harmony. Years of research and scientific validation by Dr. Hawkins and his team have shown the scale of consciousness is logarithmic, meaning each incremental level represents a giant leap in power. The 17 levels of consciousness, from the lowest to the highest, are shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride, courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace, and enlightenment. So now at Happy Living, we've developed a happy index to help people improve where they're living their lives on the Hawkins scale of consciousness. Are they living in anger and fear and apathy, or in peace and joy and love? Where are you living your life? We've created a cool little quiz to calculate your happy index, because measurement is a powerful motivator. I love this quote by H. James Harrington, and he says, "Measurement is the first step that leads to control and eventually to improvement." He says, if you can't measure something, you can't understand it. If you can't understand it, you can't control it. And if you can't control it, you can't improve it. Makes sense. What we measure, we focus our attention on. The shift in our focus creates an unconscious inner selection process that prioritizes the measured activity ahead of other things. Measuring inspires change. Measuring inspires learning. Measuring inspires improvement. So we created the Happy Index to inspire you to learn how you can change your life to improve your happy. Okay, let's get back to the story. Alexander the Great recognized the elevated power of the yogi's consciousness and laughed with approval, saying, "Could I be any man in the world other than myself, I would be this man here." I agree with Alexander, 100%. And when I first read that story, I thought, I like that. I want to be that. I'd love to conquer the need that I've seemingly had my entire life to conquer things. To conquer school, to conquer my body, to conquer my football dreams, to conquer the business world, to conquer, one thing after the next, and then the next, and then the next. And so, let me share with you the great big challenge of the second half of my life. I want to refrain from all the conquering and wanting and personal ambition, which I learned in the first half of my life, so I can make space for peace and love and meaning in the second half. That's right. I want to refrain from fighting for what I want from life to make space for surrendering to what life has in store for me. I want to refrain from thinking more is better to make space for realizing how less can be more. I want to refrain from trusting my mind to make space for listening to my heart. I want to refrain from defining success as getting more to make space for success to be giving more. I want to refrain from pushing against resistance to make space for flowing with it. I want to refrain from being hard to make space for becoming soft. I want to refrain from using force to get others to do what I want, to make space for using quiet power to help others get what they want. Yes, I want to refrain from ambition to make space for meaning. And all this refraining will help me continuously climb the rungs of the happy index and steadily strengthen my quiet power to help others get what they want, to accomplish their dreams, to realize their destiny, to travel along the path they were meant to live. And that'll make me happy. But there's more. The 7th verse of the Tao Te Ching advises, serve the needs of others, and all your own needs will be fulfilled. I like that, but it still feels too focused on me and my needs. Researching the 7th verse a bit more, I read an essay from Dr. Wayne Dyer in which he further explains what the Tao asserts. Dr. Dyer says, a certain wonderful quality enters our life when we live from the Spirit in our hearts, rather than from our needy, egocentric mind. That feels closer to my second half of life goal. Dr. Dyer goes on to tell us, the Tao is a giving machine that never runs out of gifts to offer, yet asks nothing in return. Yes, that's it. When I read this, I felt like shouting. That's exactly what I want. And of course, with that assertion, I'm falling right back into the trap of being focused on me, on what I want. Funny how often we end up back there, isn't it? So while that is what I want, let me rephrase it this way. I'm dedicating the second half of my life to refrain from wanting so I can become a giving machine. And that idea, that goal, that rest of my life mission makes me really, truly, deeply happy. And so today, to help you reconnect with yourself and what makes you happy, I'm happy to give you, all of you celebrating happiness with me and thousands of others all around the world today. I'm happy to give all of you free and frequent access to take our online happy quiz and take it as often as you like so you can measure how happy your life feels on you. It'll make me happy if you'll give it a try. And perhaps doing so will jumpstart you onto the path to reconnecting with yourself, and perhaps reconnecting with others too, and reconnecting to the most important people and places and things in your life that make you happy. Because from me to you, dear friends, I love you and I want you to be really, truly, deeply happy too. So go to happyliving.com right now and try our happy quiz. Because when you measure your happy, you'll focus your attention on it. And focusing attention on it inspires change and learning and improvement to flow right into your life. Because what you focus your attention on grows. So till we meet again, I'm Mr. Happy Living, and I'm wishing you all the success and all the happy in life that you can possibly imagine. Because whoever is happy will make others happy.